Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Danion's Gaming Up. My name is of course Danion, and I have something very epic for you guys to see. Arcane Wizards. Hell yeah. Alright, let's take a look at this then, shall we? As I said before, I will show you the entire build, including its many variations and single target spells, and why I picked certain skills above others. It's a lot different than 9 of the 10 wizards that throw Frozen Orbs though. This is more enjoyable, allows for a lot of variations that you can skip to on the fly during mobs or elite packs, and the damage you will do is extremely high. So, let us begin! Well, again, this is like the third time I said this, I think. First off, the raw damage you see here on the screen might look low as to what other builds can potentially acquire. However, you should never really trust this stat anyway. The toughness, as well as the raw damage output, misses out on a lot of major strong points. For example, the tab doesn't show how much arcane damage increase as well as arcane torrent increase damage I have, but as you can see here, it pulls its weight among many other wizards out there. I even dare to say that this is the strongest build currently available, not only due to its fast attack speed, but also the survivability thanks to one of its key components in the passive tree. But we will talk about that in a second. What I did in order to make this work, however, was to stack pure arcane damage, arcane torrent damage, and somewhat decent attack speed. Getting attack speed, however, isn't that easy unless you want to sacrifice major stats as critical hit damage as well as critical chance. If you are above 50% critical hit, if you are above 50% crit chance, however, it is okay to start spending points or reforges into attack speed. But you also don't want it to be too high, because you will drain your arcane pool too fast. Getting a balance takes some time, I have to agree, but 29 and 30% works best for me. It all depends on the gear most of the time anyway. And without further ado, finally let's take a look at our passive, shall we? First off, Glass Cannon. Increase all damage done by 15% but decrease armor and resistance by 10%. This is a no-brainer for me. You always take this. It is too good to pass on. There is just no question about it. And for the second one, Temporal Flux. Enemies that take arcane damage are slowed by 80% for 2 seconds. This increases your survivability with such a tremendous amount. It is god awesome to have. Because you do so fast damage, everything is slowed. Mobs, elites, bosses, you will be able to get away. If you have a nice amount of movement speed, you will always be able to stay away from anything that comes at you. Temporal Flux is definitely a must-have for this build. And for the third one, Unwavering Will. Standing still for 1.5 seconds increases the following attributes. Armor 20%, resistance 20%, damage 10%. Since you will be channeling Arcane Torrent, you always will be standing still. It's like a no-brainer to take this. It is beautiful. It does everything that you want, and even if a mob hits you, the increase in armor and resistance most likely will make you able to stay alive during that hit. And because of Temporal Flux, mobs will not be able to get near you anyway. Unwavering Will is awesome to have. And for the last one, Elemental Exposure. Damaging enemies with Arcane, Cold, Fire or Lightning will cause them to take 5% more damage from all sources for 5 seconds. Each different damage type applies a stack, stacking up to 4 times. Elemental damage from your weapon contributes to the Elemental Exposure. Now, if only I had Arcane damage on my weapon, it would be awesome. It is... The combination with Elemental damage from your weapon and this skill is... it's beautiful. You want to take this. Increases, it just overall increases the damage from everything you do from your arcane skill and your other abilities as well, which we will take a look at in a second. Elemental Exposure is really, really interesting. If you want to go for something else, if you have a lot of trouble getting your arcane power up, however, Astral Presence, increase your maximum arcane power by 20 and arcane power regeneration by 2 per second, is also a very good one. If you are a really tanky build, you can take Audacity. You deal 15% additional damage to enemies within 15 yards. This means that enemies will be very, very close to you. You will never have a boss this close to you anyway. But if you're farming elites and you're a pretty tanky build, you can take this. It's really good to have. Or you can go for Blur, decrease damage taken by 17% if you have trouble staying alive. It's a really nice talent, but I go for Elemental Exposure because I like the Glass Cannon build a little bit more. Alright then, on to the skills, shall we? As some of you know, I always run a specific build. So most of these, if you happen to watch some of my other videos, most of these are not gonna be a surprise for you. Archon, in combination with Arcane Destruction. Archon does a nice amount of damage. And also it increases your armor and resistance, as well as your damage by 20%. So for me, it is kind of get out of jail free card. This is my thing to get away if I am trapped. But also with the Glyph of Destruction, an explosion erupts around you when you transform, dealing 3680% weapon damage as arcane to all enemies within 15 yards. This means you will crit for around 50 to 60 million damage. Yeah, that's a really nice amount. Archon is just a really nice skill to have. It does a lot of damage, especially if you're farming rifts and you find a goblin pack. You want Archon. There is maybe Black Hole, but Archon is really, really nice. And for the second one, it is Electrocute with the Glyph of Surge of Power. This is a signature spell. Signature spells are free to cast. This means they don't cast arcane power, so you can regenerate a little bit. And with the Surge of Power rune, I keep saying rune and glyph at the same time. It's basically the same thing. Gain 1 arcane power for each enemy hit. So what this means, if I have the lightning can jump up to 2 additional targets, this means I gain 3 arcane power every time I hit a mob or additional mobs. Really nice to get your arcane power back. Also, Electrocute is affected by attack speed. It really does a nice amount of damage. So it is a must-have to take if you are low on arcane power all the time. This Templar, I am talking, dude. What the hell? Like, darkness grows when we stand about. Oh, I love magic weapon. Imbue your weapon with magical energy, granting a 10% increased damage. Yeah, it is so awesome. Now, with magic weapon, there are 3 runes that you can use. If you have no problem with arcane power, go for force weapon. Increases damage bonus of magic weapon to 20%, and the knockback is 20%. That's 10% even more damage. If you start throwing out arcane torrents, that can result in a couple of 100k more damage. So that is a really nice one to have. I like to go with conduit, however. Attacks have a chance to restore 1 arcane power. This means all my attacks, so arcane torrent and electrocute have a chance to restore 1 arcane power. This means I can throw my arcane power more and more and more without waiting, without stopping. There is no downtime basically. If you have trouble staying alive, deflection, when you perform an attack, gain 3 for 3 seconds, gain an absorb shield that absorbs that amount of damage. This is up all the time. It is actually affected by attack speed, so the moment it goes down when a mob hits you, it is back up again. It is beautiful. This will give you so much survivability. Again, it is not shown in the toughness tab, which is rather annoying, but trust me, this is a lifesaver if you happen to have low survivability. Magic weapon with deflection is very nice, and you still gain a 10% increased damage. Magic weapon in every build, you want to take magic weapon. It is too good to pass on with these amazing runes in it. And for the 4th one, I have energy armor. Once again, my personal favorite. Focus your energies, increasing your armor by 35%. Decreasing arcane power by 20, however. That is a little bit unfortunate. So that means you will start having to rely on different items that increase your arcane power or passive skills or something like that. You can play around with it very interestingly. However, I have Pinpoint Barrier. Energy armor also increases your critical hit chance by 5%. 5% is a really nice amount. It just buffs you over that 50% mark that I really like. At the moment I'm sitting on 60, so I might even take this off. Energy armor is really interesting with the rune of Arcane. Rather than increasing your maximum arcane power, energy armor increases by 20. So again, if you happen to be low on arcane power and you need to refill constantly, this is a really nice boost. Or if, once again, if you are low on survivability, energy armor also increases your resistance to all damage types by 25%. This rune is a lifesaver. This rune in combination with magic weapon and deflection, you don't die anymore. It is over. It is instantly over. These two changes, it is such a big upgrade. So no matter where you are, you can just instantly and I'm tough again. There we go. I have, look at this, that's my toughness, and without it I go back to energy with crit. It just boosts it up to almost 1 million toughness with my beautiful resistances overall. It's worth to note, all resistances, all damage types, so that includes bleeds, physical damage, everything. Energy armor with these 3 glyphs is a must-have. And then for the most amazing skill ever invented in the game, Arcane Torrent, with 2 glyphs you can choose from. 1, what does it do? First off, it costs 16 arcane power. As to Arcane Orb, it costs 30 arcane power. So, sure, you can throw out 6 or 7, maybe even 8 Frozen Orbs and do a nice amount of AoE damage. But then you're gone, then your arcane power is over, you need to run, you need to regenerate, you have downtime. Arcane Torrent, 16 arcane power. Whoa, that is half. In combination with a nice amount of arcane regeneration, arcane power on crit that is available from different items, you can just keep on going. The only thing that drains it really fast is single target DPS. But on mobs, elite packs, hell no, you can just keep on throwing that. It is beautiful. So, there are 2 runes that you can take from this. 1, I'm gonna start out with the single target one. Disruption. Enemies hit by Arcane Torrent become disrupted for 6 seconds, causing them to take 15% additional damage from any attacks that deal arcane damage. Wow. So this also includes your Archon. So if you can be close to it and you use your Arcane with this destruction, so you explode, that's even 50% more additional damage. That's really nice. That's even 80 million or something like that. For single target, this is the only thing you can basically choose. There is nothing else that you really want. Cascade is awesome. Enemies hit by Arcane Torrent have a 12.5% chance to fire a new missile at a nearby enemy, dealing even more weapon damage as Arcane. This is the thing that obliterates packs, mobs, huge filled rooms. This is it. Things vanish. Things die in the blink of an eye. It is beautiful. It is awesome. And at the same time, we are with the biggest problem with this build. It is a little bit RNG dependent if you run with Arcane Cascade, because 12.5% chance isn't that much. However, that is why you go for attack speed, because the more attack speed you have, the higher the chance you will actually trigger the effect. Really nice. And for the 4th one, I have Familiar, which is also not really a surprise for most of the people here. So, Familiar, summon a Familiar that attacks your enemies for 179% weapon damage as Arcane. That's already Arcane right there. This can crit for 10-12 million. It is ridiculous. And also it is affected by attack speed, which is really nice. However, if you go for Sparkflint, summon a Fury Fire Elemental that grants you 10% increased damage. Yes! It is beautiful. Or you can go for Arcane. The Familiar's projectiles explode on impact, dealing 240% weapon damage as Arcane to all enemies within 6 yards. The only downside with this is it's 6 yards. 6 yards is basically nothing. It is really small. But it is really nice to have. Arcanaut. While the Familiar is active, you generate 2 arcane power per second. So again, if you have trouble getting your arcane power up, if you have downtime, take this one. So as you can see, throughout all the skills I have, the skills that are available to a wizard, I should say, there is a ton of... Shut up, Templar. God damn it. There are a ton of things you can do to keep your arcane power up. I can go for Arcanaut. I can go for example, Elemental Exposure. I'm going to take Astral Presence. In combination with this, there we go. 15.4 Arcane Regeneration and 131 Arcane Power. Oh, how much does it cost? Oh, it costs 16. Done. I can keep this up the entire time. Did I lose much damage? No, I did not. It is beautiful. Oh, do I want more? I want even more arcane power. Oh, there it is, 171 arcane power. As you can see, there is a ton of ways you can tweak your wizard the way you want to. And I love it. The wizard for me is the best class in the game because you have so much utility. But guys, try this build out. There is a link in the description below that will take you to the skill calculator from the Diablo website. From there you can use it for yourself, take a look at it, mess around with it, and now it is time to show you the video. It's a little montage from me farming rifts, doing a couple of bosses, showing you single targets, showing you massive AoE farming fests. And I really hope that you enjoyed this little build. I hope you're going to enjoy the video that is going to follow. And after that video I have a little surprise for you, and I hope you're still watching by that time. And yeah, as always, keep on winning, guys, and awesome, yeah, I really enjoyed making this video. Alright guys, I hope that you enjoyed this little video. I had a blast making it. And for the surprise, the next video is gonna be all about area of effect damage. That means I'm gonna duplicate spells and I'm gonna even sling them back harder as they were cast initially. So if you wanna know more about that video, please subscribe. And as always, keep on winning. Yeah!